So imagine you are sitting in a farm where you can see surrounded with a lot of beautiful plants, trees, and you can smell the beautiful flowers, fragrance of the smell, and a cat sitting on your lap, a dog licks your toes, and you are drinking a coffee from a fresh milk from your own cows. How do you feel? It's wonderful, right? And we believe that we are taking care of them, but the truth is the nature taking care of us. I'm here to tell a story of a small community, a group of people. Some they are tall, some they are short. Some they speak verbally, some they speak silently. Some they can walk, some they cannot walk. Some they work hard, some they cannot work hard. But yet we are all living together, and we lovingly call this place Sristi Village. I'm Karthik, founder of Sristi Village. I had a dream 10 years before to create an inclusive, self-sustaining and eco-friendly village where the people with intellectual and developmental disability, where they can live, learn, work, generate income, and lead an independent and dignified life. But why I got this dream? I lived in an orphanage. During my teenage, I volunteered. I joined when I was 16 as a volunteer in an orphanage in Pondicherry. It is an orphanage for the children with the disability and also for the non-disabled children. And I found they were living together beautifully. They were playing together. And I started to live there. I lived for 12 years. Then it becomes my life purpose. I found the non-disabled children getting a chance to go to school, graduating, getting a job. At one point, slowly they're independent in their life. But for the children with the disabilities, always staying back at home. They were getting the food and shelter and do nothing. That made me to study psychology, and if I can do something. And after I graduated, I became the director of the same orphanage. And I started many initiatives, but nothing I can do more than that, providing the proper care and support. And imagine yourself living in your home, getting a food and shelter, and then limited to access outside, and staying inside your home, not 1 or 2 days, forever. How many of you are interested to stay, and how long you can stay in your home, even though you are getting all your basic needs? The same thing happened for the children who are in institutional care. They are spending for the whole life in an institutional care. And this is not just happening only in the orphanage where I lived, but it's happening all over India. And anywhere if you go, you will find a residential home where you find the children with the disability, where they get the food and shelter and do nothing. What will happen to you if you are living in the similar situation? You'd get frustrated, right? So this is happening. And when they were children, it is okay, they were playing. But once they become an adult, the real challenge starts. And they become very angry, show their violence, right? So that made me to leave the orphanage. And then I was traveling almost for 3 years and volunteered with many places and finding the solution if somewhere I could help them. That way, after my traveling, and one of my experience during the traveling, I found majorly children or people with the disabilities are living in the rural places. But many organizations working for the children with or people with the disability are located in the urban or bigger cities. And there is a huge gap. And majorly they are left over. Nobody's look after them. But I was in Uttar Pradesh. I was in a small village. I was volunteering. And then I found they are living in a small village and then do nothing. But somehow the villages people are accepted them and they were involving in some activity. And I found farming is one of the jobs somehow suitable for them. And that way, with the knowledge, I came back to the orphanage. And then I worked along with some young adult, the boys and girls. Idea is whether farming is work for them or not. Then one day, I called a group of people. We got a small piece of the land. Intention is to build a small kitchen garden. My intention whether they can work in the farming or not. And then we made a fence around. First time they came out from the orphanage, and then we were working together. We prepared the land for the kitchen garden, and I brought a seed I was keeping in my hand. And one of the boy was asking me, Anna, what is this? And I said, it's a seed. If you plant, it can grow. But he couldn't able to understand. And then I showed such a big, gigantic mango tree next to the garden. I said, his name is Anbu. Anbu, look at this tree. It came from this little seed. And he was asking me and laughed at me, how this small, tiny seed can grow such a big mango tree. And that was my first challenge also. Then I said, Anbu, you plant it and then watering it regularly and see what happens. And then he did it regularly. And then after a few days, I still remember the day I was working in my office, and then he was knocking the door, Anna, open the door. And then I opened, and he was running, and I was running behind him, and he opened the kitchen garden gate and showed the 2 leaves coming out of from the seed he's grown. And you thought it was a magic, I think many of us, we had this experience when we plant seed, and we were waiting for the 2 leaves actually. And for him, it was so happy. And then I still remember how he was so smiling and almost he's rolling around the farm actually. And after this incident, he locked the gate, put the key in his pocket, and he said, this is my garden, I will look after them. And then the next incident happened from the same garden. After a few months, these plants all grown up, and then they got a lot of vegetables from the garden, like a tomato, like some brinjal, some lady's finger, some of the country vegetables they got. And they were harvested. It was not a big quantity, like a basket of vegetables they got it. They harvested from the farm, and then they brought to the kitchen. And normally the kitchen is not allowed just for the hygienic purpose. They just kick the door, enter into the kitchen, and they were talking with the chef. You cannot decide what to cook for us, and these are the vegetable harvested from our garden, and we harvested, and we have rights to say what to cook. And I saw their confidence level is drastically improved. I lived with many, many years, but after a few months, they got such a confidence. You know what? Until then, they are dependent for anything, for food, for dress, for anything. But now the time they are giving back. Now, you are in a position of receiving something, how you feel? You feel inferior, you feel low. But if you are in a position to give something, you always feel proud and pride, that happened. And more than that, what happened, So until the people call as one of the child in the orphanage, or one of the inmate in the orphanage, or one of the beneficiary, that's all the terminology they used to be called. But now the terminology changed, the role changed. Now the people call them as a gardener. After getting this role, what happened? And people started to recognize them. They started to respect them. I think the valued role is important for anyone. And I think we all witnessed actually after we graduate and then we're just sitting at the home and then even your parents they call. And I know we have a special term in Tamil, we call Thandasoru. I know in every language there is a terminology for that. But for them they are staying at home forever actually do nothing. But this gardener role changed everything. That is the key learning for me. I think that valued role is important. With this learning, I founded a Sristi village. It is just 10 acres of land with a barren land actually. But after it is a journey of 10 years, now you can see the transformation. So now more than 3,000 trees and plants and flowers and animals. But not only the land transformed, but also they transformed the many people's life. And during this journey, I met many, many people who has the different abilities and different disabilities. And then one of the person is Karthikeyan. Karthikeyan actually as a child, he was admitted in a school. But after a few years, the school said, you are not fit into our classroom. So they sent them out. And then he went to his friends. And then friends said, you are not fit into our group. And then his family said, you are not fit into our family. And that way, his disabilities always stands in front of him. And then he felt is rejected, everyone rejected. And he feel isolated and separated. And then if you are in the situation, what will happen? You will get anger. You show anger. And then he got anger with everyone, with the parents, with the people, whoever he met, he started to beat actually. And then nobody can able to control actually. And what he was fighting for? Just he needs some kind of understanding. If someone can understand his emotions, his feeling, or anyone can accept me, but no one was there. And he ran away. He ran away from his home, and his father found him, and then he locked in a room actually. And then even it made him more anger. And then he broke the door, and the next option for the parents, to brought him to the hospital. And then referred to the psychiatrist. And psychiatrist prescribed a lot of medicines to him. Once he started to take all this medicine, and then he will be in a sedative states. And then he's almost drowsiness. Even he could not able to walk on his own actually. In that situation, I met him. I brought to Sristi. Then he slowly started to mingle with our community members. And one of the favorite place for him is our dairy farm. He just go and every day cut grass, and then he feed the cows, he wash the cows, he care for them. And slowly I found happiness on his face. You know who is the best therapist here? Cow. You know, the cow given a hope for him actually. And it changed his life actually. And he slowly started to look after all the cows. Even he started to learn how to milk, and then how to process the milk into the ghee, and then he started to sell them ghee also. Then slowly he became the in charge of became the lead for our dairy farm. And that responsibility changed his behavior. But I have a very interesting story, how the responsibility changed our behavior. I have one of our boy in our community, he always run away from our campus. And every morning my work is I have to look whether the boy is there or not. And I have to go to the village and bring him back. And next morning, he will run away. Then I go and bring him back. And he always find it a reason to run away from the campus. And then we sit together, psychologists, special educated therapists, everyone we sit together, used all our intelligence, how to make him to stop to run away from the home. But next day he ran away. Then, you know what I did? I called a tailor to stitch a uniform, of security officer. And then I hand over the key of my main gate, key of our campus. And I said, you know what? You are our security officer. This is the key. Keep it with you. Make it sure no one run away from the campus. That was the last day he ran away from the campus. Sometimes that responsibility change our behavior. That way, the Karthikeyan's behavior is completely changed, and he is right now is working as a gardener. Is one of the multinational company as a gardener. He earns money. He taking care of his family. He play a valid role in his family, not only in the family but also in the community. He gain all the respect and dignity, and he gain all the confidence to face this world. And Karthikeyan is not alone. You can find like Karthikeyan in every classroom, every school, every village, every city. What they need? Just a sense of acceptance and a little flavor of love. Thank you.